So here we have the LG G8 Thin Q.
Wow!
I just recently got this phone, and I am so freaking bored during Corona time that I found these VRM RAM heat sinks in my garage left over from a previous project, and I got to thinking, can I attach these to my phone, and would there be literally any benefit whatsoever? The only downsides I can think of is maybe aesthetic. If you don't like the look of it, I think it'll be kind of interesting to have them on there, so that's not really a downfall, it'll just be opinion at that point. The only true downside that I can think of is ergonomics. Sliding it in and out of your pocket, will it interfere with me holding the phone? It won't lay flat. That's not a huge issue, but still, there's something to think of. My ideas for testing the effectiveness of this is to get the phone to the point where it starts thermal throttling with a CPU benchmark. You can see it's running right here. I've already taken baseline temperatures as well as ambient temperatures of the surface the phone is on. I feel like this will give a good representation of actually using the phone to game. I'm talking about like playing Call of Duty or PUBG on here, so a really demanding game that would heat up the phone. And then once the baseline is done running, I'm going to attach the heatsink. I'm not going to open the phone and attach it to the actual hardware. I'm just going to cut a hole in the case and attach it onto the back glass over the CPU. This phone itself is not easy to open. You have to heat it up and peel the glass away. It's not like older LGs when you can just unscrew them. So I do not want to hurt the value of the phone in any way, so I'm only looking at external options to help with cooling. So our benchmark here is almost finished. We're almost at 10 minutes, and as you can see, the thermal performance is actually already starting to dip. Let's see if I can get that on camera. This whole time it was running above 90%, and it's now finally starting to dip. So I'm going to put the phone back down so I don't affect the thermals in any way. I'm going to let it finish that test. Once 10 minutes rolls around, we're going to run the benchmark. And as a side note, airplane mode is turned on and sync is turned off so that the phone is not matched up to different syncing periods during the different tests. I wanted it to be as close as possible so we get an accurate representation of the effectiveness of adding just this heatsink. So once the 3D Mark benchmark is done, I'm going to install this heatsink, cut a hole in the back of the case and secure it to the back of the phone over the CPU, and then I'm going to let the phone cool down to the exact temperature it was before I started any of the tests. Looking at the back side of the phone, all of the heat producing components on the motherboard are over in this section right here. So we're going to try to add the CPU heatsink. I'm going to say right here, just right there. So we're going to try to eyeball where that location is on the back side of the case, because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just taking heat that is being transferred to the whole back portion of the case and hopefully transferring it, some of it, to this. It's not directly contacting the CPU area. The CPU is not even on the back glass side of the phone. It's actually on the other side. So we're just trying to increase the amount of heat that the phone can effectively absorb before it starts thermal throttling here. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to try to get it somewhere in this location. Actually, I know that because the fingerprint scanner on the back, let's try to make it so we can comfortably hold it here. Yeah, it'll still work right there in that spot there. Yeah, let's try to get it a little bit higher up. I'm gonna say right there. That way that my finger can ergonomically still access the fingerprint scanner. Yeah. My case is one piece. It's not like one of those ones. Actually, I have one right here as an example. My case is not one like this that is two pieces and you can separate them. There's like the rubber internal and the plastic outer shell. Mine's not like that. So your case might be more difficult to do that on, or it could be easier. Just depends on what case you have. As you can see, the plastic of this case is actually pretty thick, so only half of this heatsink is actually going to be sticking out of the case, and it's only going to be the portion with the actual fins on the heatsink, so I think it'll actually look pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie, I actually like the look of this. It's interesting. It looks like the phone's been upgraded. And it does definitely add some noticeable bulk, but since the phone is already in a case, it's not as tall as the full heatsink. Let me get another one here. Oh, and by the way, these are just RAM heatsinks is what they're advertised as, but they can be used for literally anything. I have a couple left over, so I use them for nonsense like this. Compare that to the actual thickness of the heatsink there. Not bad. Not bad at all. So let's see if it does anything. Yeah. Alright, let's compare those specs. So here are the benchmark results. Right here we have the baseline test results, and right here we have the with heatsink test results, as you can see if you're able to read. For the OpenGL results, it totally could be within margin of error. We'll ignore those results. However, what I'm most interested in from this experiment is the Vulkan results. The Vulkan test is done immediately after the OpenGL test, which means that the phone is at its hottest point on this second test here. And because of the with heatsink test being so much higher than the baseline one, that means at the point where the phone was at its hottest, it was performing drastically better than without that heatsink. That's impressive to me. It's a tiny piece of copper, and it was what, a 10-minute install? Pretty easy. Now I know that it wasn't completely useless, but I still never would have done it if it wasn't for Corona. So big shouts. We support you. Thanks for watching.